What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been quite a long time since I posted a video, about a month. But today in this video, as you can see by the title above or below, that we are installing the Vector Offroad JKE-Dock for the 2007 through 2011 Jeep Wrangler JK or JKUs. Let's go ahead and I'll show you the product and we'll talk about it. I'll show you the parts that you need and tools you need, and then we'll get into this install. All right, guys, so here is the Vector Offroad JKE-Dock for 2007 through 11 JKUs. I am using a trash can for a table, so don't mind that. I promise you, this product is not trash. So this is the table that it comes with in the center here, which will go over the main center console or the top center part of your dash. And there's two little bolts here on the side for mounting brackets underneath the top center part of your dash, and two more mounting parts here on each side. This is made of 1 inch thick tubing. I'm not entirely sure what the material is. I can't remember if it's steel or aluminum. I'll flash that up on the screen so you guys can know what that is. But this is a really nice design. It's very lightweight. It's lightweight, but it has a little bit of a heft to it. Let's go ahead and get to the install. But before we do, here are the parts in this bag here. I haven't really opened this bag up to see what was in it, but we'll open that up during the installation and take a look at everything on the inside. So let's go ahead and look at the tools that we need. Alrighty, guys, so here are all the tools that you will need, I do believe so, to get this installation done. I am using my new Milwaukee set, my impact driver here. I am using one of these bits. I can't remember what this bit is called, that you can put a socket on the end of. We'll be using that. Don't worry about that case up there. That's just where I pull all these out of. I will be using a T25 star bit. That's what we need for all the bolts. And except this, we do need a 13 millimeter socket, one that obviously would fit the end of that there. I'm going to use this extension to get to one bolt that I know I won't be able to get to very easily, and then just a flathead screwdriver. Let's go ahead and jump into this install. Alrighty, guys, so the first step in this installation is removing this top plastic trim piece cover for the top of the dash. And it's not that hard to remove. All you got to do is really pull up on the back end. You might want to use either a pry tool, or in this case, I'm going to be using a flathead screwdriver on the back end here. You're going to pop this end up and it'll pull towards you. Let's go ahead and get that removed. So once that's removed, y'all need to make sure that you watch your compass on the bottom end of it. All you got to do is take this clip, compress it down, and pull the little tab out, and you will be able to fully remove this top piece. Alrighty, so now that this top piece is removed, there are two ways that you can do this installation. One, if you have two bolts right here instead of one, which in this case I have one bolt, but if you have another bolt here, you can go ahead and skip ahead into the video, and I'll put a marker right here where you need to skip to. Only if you have another bolt right here on this side and on this side. If not, the next thing we need to do is start to take apart the dash so we can get up underneath this bracket right here. So in order to do that, we're going to remove these two bolts here first, which I'm not sure what size is. I'll flash that up on the screen. And then we're going to remove this panel down here. We're just going to pull it outwards and start popping all of these out. It's not that hard to do. If you guys want to watch a stereo removal, I'll link it down in the description box below. All right, so once your dash piece is kind of loose, we're not going to remove any of the wiring clamps. I just wanted to let you guys know. So this little net piece down here that was at the bottom, all you're going to do is pull that towards you. There's two 7 millimeter bolts on the bottom, and 2 7mm bolts on the top. You're going to remove those and just start pulling it your way until it's out like this. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the stereo. Like I said, we're not going to unplug anything from the back, but we're going to remove these 4 7mm bolts from each side, and the radio should slide out. All right, guys, so the next step is grabbing this bracket. You should have 2 of these in your kit, and we're going to simply install this bracket. Like I said, if you do not have another screw right here on each side, this is the step that you need to pay attention to. So the shorter side with the shorter bracket hole is going to go quite like this, and that's what the end product should be looking like, of course, with a screw in there. Now, the screw in your set that you are going to be using is the longer Phillips head screwdriver screw and one of these little small nuts that have, it looks like a little spike ring on the back of them. That's what you're going to use to do this install. So now, what the really difficult part is getting this little itty bitty nut on this screw underneath here, and you do not want to drop that little itty bitty nut. It shouldn't be that hard, but for the love of God, do not drop that nut or else you are screwed. Hopefully you do not, and I hope this goes in properly. So guys, I just got this bracket on right here. It took me about 30 seconds to do. It was not that hard to do at all. I just wanted to let you guys know this is what the screw is supposed to look like. That nut with the spikes are supposed to be facing up towards the bottom of the screw. And once you get this screwed on enough, you can put your screwdriver up on top of the screw and start tightening it. It'll self-tighten itself. I would recommend getting it up close to pretty much the top before tightening it down with a screwdriver. Let's go ahead and get this other side in, and we can move on with this installation. So we got both of the brackets on there now. So the next step is we can go ahead and reassemble our dash and our radio. Dash all put back together, and these are nice and sturdy. The next step you want to do is you want to take your flathead screwdriver and remove these top end caps here and here. All right, guys, so the next portion of this install, after you have removed these caps, this is going to be a really difficult part. So down in there, as you can see right there, there is a 13mm bolt on those caps down there. And you have to remove those 13mm bolts. I have a feather in there, and I don't know how in the hell it got in there. That's weird. But you have to remove those 13mm bolts without, there's one on this side, and there's one on that side, but without dropping the bolt, because you will need to reuse the bolt. But I don't have a magnet, so we're going to try this as best as we can. So good luck, guys, on getting this bolt out on each end. All right, guys, so I found a better way to remove the bolt that is right behind your steering wheel, is to remove the cluster. And all you're going to do is, there's this panel here, which was on the very bottom here. You're just going to pop that out. That would be your first step. You're just going to pop that out. This doesn't take that long at all, if you're wondering. If it's your first time, which it is my first time, it didn't take me but 10 minutes to do. So you're just going to pop this bottom panel out, which it takes a flathead screwdriver or a pry tool. You're going to pry this piece out, which was this piece here. And again, that takes just a pry tool. There were 2 bolts, one here on the left-hand side of the steering wheel and one on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. Those are 7mm bolts. Then once you remove those 2 bolts, your instrument cluster dashboard piece pops right out. You might have to take a screwdriver and pop it underneath the tabs of that right there, of that dash piece, just to pop it out. Then there are 4 7mm bolts on each corner of the instrument cluster, and you just remove those bolts and you can get behind it and you can see the bolt right back there. It's a lot easier to get to. And actually, fun fact, pulling this off, I found a cigar back here, which that was not mine. I found a feather, and I found the spare key to this Jeep, which when we bought this Jeep, there was no spare key. It was lodged behind the instrument cluster with that feather and that stogie over there. Ain't that something? You learn something new every day. But I will be using that. But anyway, let's go ahead and remove this bolt right here. All right, guys, so here is the first bolt from back there. It was a lot easier to get to and make sure I did not lose it somewhere in the dash when I lowered the steering wheel and just popped this out just a little bit more. So we have finally removed this bolt, and let's go ahead and move on to the next step of this part here, and then we'll reassemble the dash and move on to the other side. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, the next step of the install is grabbing this bracket here. You're gonna need 2 of them also. They do come with your install, of course. And the next step you're gonna do is you're gonna fit it in like so over that stud in there, and you're gonna reinstall your bolt, but just leave it a little loose in there. Don't tighten it down all the way. Make sure the bolt is securely on there, but leave it just a little loose so we can get everything lined up. Alrighty, guys, over here on this side is a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be getting this part in. So as you can see, back here is my airbag. I did not disconnect my airbag. I just rested it on my knee ever so slightly like this while I screwed in that bolt. But you really don't need to remove your airbag. Just be super gentle with it. But if you aren't for sure about your airbag, you can go ahead and disconnect your negative battery terminal, which it should just be a 10mm socket, and let that sit for about 20 minutes before doing any of the dash work. But how to remove this part of the dash: the first step is removing the lower panel down here. Don't worry about these wires, these are for my sound system. You're going to remove the lower part of the dash, which sits right here, with just a screwdriver, and it pops right out. You remove your drawer little drawer right here that sits right there with all my stuff in it. And both ends just pry in like that, and you should be able to pull it out. Before you remove this dash piece, you're going to remove your grab handle. And in the grab handle, there are 2 bolts inside the grab handle that sit just like this, and these are a 9mm bolt. They're not 8mm. They're not 7mm like all of the other dash component part, or not all of the dash bolts are, but these are a 9mm bolt. And then the next step, after you remove those 2 bolts, there are 2 other bolts underneath the dash. They sit like right underneath here, that are a 10mm bolt, and they look like this. You're going to remove those 2, and then you want to pry these out just a little bit, and you can get the top to if you're not really worried about damaging your dash, you can pry this top end out with a screwdriver along with this bottom end. But you do need to loosen this bolt to fully remove this part of the dash. Let me see if I can get it to come down real quick. There we go. In order to remove it just like that, you do have to loosen this bolt. You don't have to take it off completely. Give it a few turns with your screw gun or wrench, and this piece should come out, and you should be able to remove it, install your new bracket, and reinstall your new bolt. But like I said, keep it loose so we can go ahead and put in the tray and make sure everything is aligned. Let's go ahead and do that now, guys. So guys, I just did a test fit on mine, and it works perfectly. It's not bolted in right now, obviously, but I just test fit mine and it put all the bolts in and these holes here and did everything, and everything is lined up properly. Right now, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up these 13mm bolts and reassemble my dash, and go ahead and tighten up all the bolts for the E-Dock, and we'll see you when the finished product is done. So guys, this is fully installed, but I just wanted to say one thing before we wrap this video up. This thing is not going anywhere. It's completely tightened down. It's not even moving. So I will say when you take this part of the dash off, before you tighten this bottom bolt back in, you have to reassemble this part of the dash. Put this part of the top of the dash back on with the airbag, then tighten down that 13mm bolt. After that, you will be able to, after this is all lined up and everything, go ahead and tighten down these first. These two bolts on each side, this one here and this one here. Then tighten this one down over here, this bolt here. And I had to retake off my instrument cluster dashboard panel and the instrument cluster to tighten this one down. If you are installing this for a 2007 through 11 JKU, I did have to take this off to tighten this bolt back down. Now what I did was I used a T25 Torx star bit on this, which worked perfectly fine. And then I used an 11mm wrench behind it, got behind it, held it, and then screwed it in. That was the easiest way for me to get it there. Now when you're putting that bolt on the back side of this screw, just be very, very careful, as there is a cut in the dash in here, right where my fingers are behind the bolt, behind the E-Dock, where your bolts can go down. So just be careful installing that bolt. And it's fully installed. Let me reassemble the instrument cluster and we'll close out this video. So guys, this is what the entire thing looks like when it is completely done. I'm telling you guys, I'm wiggling this thing as hard as I can. It's not moving. The tray in the center looks pretty cool. And I thought, to be honest with you, it's a little slanted. I thought it would be more level, like this would be more up a little bit to where the table was flat, but I'm guessing not. But that is what it looks like completely installed. Also guys, 67 Designs, which is a company I will put down in the description box below, makes mounts for these Vector Offroad JKE-Docks. They make a pretty cool phone mount. This is going to be kind of dirty because I pulled it off my last one for my last Vector Offroad dock for my last Jeep, but these came out of my old Jeep, so they are going to be a little bit dirty. But this is the phone mount for universal phones, all of the phones. From Samsung, from Galaxy, of course, Galaxy, and then iPhones. And then they have a pretty nice GoPro mount, and they have plenty of other mounts as well for iPads and stuff like that. So anyway guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Go down in the comment section below and tell me how easy your installation was or how hard it was. And if you've had this Vector Offroad JKE-Dock before, and tell me your long-term reviews on it. I'd like to hear them. All right, guys, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.